Hello, welcome to the daily political tarot readings here on the Black and Orange channel. Thank you so much for being here. I'm here 365 days of the year to take your political questions out of the chat. So just put your questions in the chat before I come on. 10% of my income from everything Black and Orange goes to Feeding America at feedingamerica.org. Yes, I do have lipstick on my teeth. To 10% of my income goes to Feeding America. It provides food to food banks across the country. That's an ongoing thing. Hang on. I think I got it all. All right. And we have an excellent community because of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you're watching this on replay, hello. You can go down into the description box. All the questions are listed out there, and I timestamp them as I go. So all the stuff on the Black and Orange channel is timestamped, going back for years, because I have been here for 3 years. Well, I've been here for four and a half. Yeah, I think I've been here for 4.5 years. Something like that. But I've been daily for 3 solid years. So yeah, I always show up. Unless there's a real emergency, I'm here every day at some point. So stay gold. I already know what Autumn answers. I've been following her for over a year. Oh. Ricky has, and the star of the show, the new singer of Night Ranger, Boo Boo Zen Kitty. Oh, the kitty. Oh, the sweetness. He's a good boy. And I put a couple of his little mice there on the edge of his bed. It's hard to see. Anyway. Also, I want to thank Marie Wells. Marie Wells. These are the longest nails I have ever worn in my entire life. But how cool is that? I love these. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Those are fun. Anyway, we'll see how the shuffling goes. Also, I've started a thing where I just briefly mention that what's going on today astrologically right up front. So early this morning, Mercury, how we communicate, was in a very energizing aspect. It's called a sextile, 60 degrees from Venus, which is about art, fantasy, spirituality. So that's a lovely. So that was last night. Other than that, just the moon doing the moony kind of things, square this, trying that. You know, the moon is. Like I got this calendar so I'd have things easily accessible. And you can see on a limited number of days where I've got something highlighted, those are actual sun or planets in aspect. And all this other writing, all of this, it's all the moon, because the moon is just zipping around. So it's making aspects all the time. It can be really helpful to watch every day and see like what's happening and how, because then you can kind of start seeing how what's going on is affecting you. So just so you know, right now the moon is in Taurus and it's near the end. It's and there's something called void of course, and they say that hang off on starting anything when the moon is void of course. It means it's not going to make any other aspect until it changes sign. So it's like at the end of a sign, and it's not going to do anything else. So they've found over the centuries that when you try to start something during a moon void of course, it may go awry. So today from about 4:15 Central Time. Problem is I don't know when it goes into. I know tomorrow it's in Gemini, but it doesn't say here when. I'm going to have to go through here. I'm going to have to go, get my trusty pen and go through here and add when the void of course moon is actually, when it's like, okay, all clear, go. Move. So happy 2023, Paula. Yes, happy New Year, everybody. So All right. Things are okay. And actually, they're good. What planets are making aspect to each other this week is good. Yeah. The only thing, the only tension is like a week from Saturday. There's a tense aspect. Yeah, the aspects on the whole are pretty good this month. So it's just a shame about the Mercury being in retrograde until the 18th. The 18th. The 18th. The 18th is here. We're only here, so we still have. But we'll get there. We can make it. Hang in there. We're actually starting with astrology today. Let me put in at 2:30. All right, so at 2:30, today's astrology. And then at 6:30, let's talk about George Santos. Because I may have found his birthday. Maybe. Oh, thank you, Guadalupe. Anyway, so I ran his chart, and I can show you that. But it comes down to, does it show up in somebody's chart when they are a pathological liar? And the answer is everybody ultimately has the choice of what to do with the energy in their chart. Are there certain traits that you put them together and someone, wakes up and chooses evil for the evils, EVILZ, for the evils? When they decide to do that, is it like, yeah, when that goes wrong, look out? Kind of. So, Stay Gold, no, I never asked any question like that. Stop saying that. Pardon? What? Huh? What? I'm confused. But let me know. Oh my gosh, it's like chaos. Is Aspie Third Eye okay? Ah, okay. I'm just gonna keep on keeping on. But if you need me, and Lucky Girl, thank you for being here. And if I can do anything, let me know. Okay, so I'm here. All right. Are there traits? Let's talk about that. It's just a phrase, but every time I say it, I feel like I'm stealing from Good Mythical Morning. No, I'm not trying to. We should talk about this. Thank you, Betty. All right, so let me pull up. All right, let me take down the forest. Just fell the trees. There we go. But let me share. And I just need to find the right George Santos. Is it this one? Could be. I can't tell. It doesn't say in the thing, and the image is tiny, so I have to see. Is this... Who is this? Is this me? Him? What? No, this is the country. Duh. 1776. All right. Wrong one. Although, while I'm here, let me just point out. By the way, I am on AstroSeek. Astro-Seek, which I highly recommend. It is the place to go for transits, easy, quick transits. You're not going to get better. Astro.com is great, but it won't show you the aspects the transits are making. It just takes the regular chart with the regular aspects, and then it just like shows you where the planets are, but it doesn't show you how it's interacting with the chart. It's like, really? But this does. Anyway, just so you are aware, we've got Mercury in retrograde down here in the second house, the U.S. second house, and it is across from Mercury over here. So if you're wondering why Mercury in retrograde is messing with us, this is why. It got really bad for a couple of days. It's because Mercury is, okay, let me show you the natal. The one in the US chart is at 24 degrees. Right now, Mercury in the sky is at 22. So it's backing up. So it's going to go 22, then 21. So the opposition here is weakening as it's moving out of aspect. And then it will eventually station, and then it'll start going forward again, and it'll conjunct, but at least it'll be going forward. So but for the last few days, as it was crossing back over that 24-degree mark, it was just kicking us all in the rear end. Just everybody I know, their things weren't working. Their phones weren't working. They lost their phones. It was just awful. But anyway, so that's what's going on there. But it's getting better. It's getting better, and there are some good aspects too. But anyway, let me go find. I'll just close this for now. Which one of you? No, that's me. Where's George's chart? There it is. All right, let me share this. So we're talking about share screen. Yes. Okay. From what I can tell, George Santos may have been born on July 22nd, 1988, in somewhere around Queens, New York. Possibly. It's the best information I've been able to find. I don't have a birth time. I'm not even entirely convinced this is his chart, but yeah, I would think so. Will this show? If I click on this, will it just show the birth chart? Why, yes, it will. Oh, look at that. Now that made my life easier. All right, so if you are anybody, I understand sometimes it's like, oh, she's talking about astrology, eyes glaze over. I understand. I really, really do. But just hear me out. This won't be long. This won't be long. So pre-transit. Do I have the right thing? Did I click on the wrong thing? No, I've got the transit chart. I think it opened it in a different. Yeah, I think it keeps opening it in a different. Okay, so how can I open once? I'm so sorry about this. Hang on just one second. I'm trying to. This is transits. Copy link address. Put this in here. So maybe it will go here. So you'll be able to see it, the birth chart. Okay. Okay. All right. If this is George Santos's chart, then he's a liar, but he's also a con man. All right. And if you think about what is a con man, like what are the traits of a con man? Stay gold. It's okay. We'll work it out. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Okay. We're just going to go over the chart. Let's just focus on this. All right, please. Okay. There are certain traits to con men and women. And what would you think? You would have to be somebody who has an inflated view of themselves. I mean, we know that underneath they have a terrible view of themselves, but on the whole, what you're often going to see in the charts are people who have an inflated view of themselves, who have an expansive personality. They're not usually introverts. Because they're out conning people and they're getting people to trust them. And then they betray them because the whole morals thing, the whole empathy thing isn't great. So, yeah, there's that. There also can be an intensity from the browbeating, because when the charm doesn't work, then you can get emotional manipulation, you can get bullied if you're a victim. And George Santos is an ex-boyfriend of his from years ago, has come forward and said, yeah, he did all this stuff to me, this stuff he's talking about. Okay. Everybody, let's focus on what I'm talking about here, okay? I understand it can be frustrating about the questions, but we're all working on this together, okay? Let's just take a deep breath in and out slowly. And in and out slowly. Okay? Just talk about this. Well, it'll be okay. Okay, so a glorified view of themselves, overconfidence, bullying tendencies, possibly intense, certainly manipulative tendencies, and there's a lot of that here. So let's have a look specifically, okay? Yeah, gaslighting and right. All right, let me go here. I hope you can see my cursor because I just want to point out some things. So if this is his chart, we don't know. I put in that we don't. Oh, I had put in that we didn't know the birth time. They've put in an ascendant. I didn't do that, but it's funny that they chose that because people with a Libra ascendant. Oh, that's funny. They can mold themselves to be, they're so flexible, they can sometimes mold themselves to be what other people want them to be. It's Libra's also the sign of fashion. And so you go with the trends and you're willing to make changes in how you present yourself. That's interesting. But we don't know that he has a Libra ascendant, but because Putin has some Libra too, to project himself as whatever he wants to be to, I guess, people who aren't paying attention. But anyway, but he does have, his sun is right at the beginning of Leo, which can be quite powerful. And Leo is the sign of kings and queens. It is, you can be, traditionally Leo, they're fun-loving. They are, Leo rules the fifth house of creativity, of, I should probably pull this other thing up instead. There. If you look over there, Leo is, stop screen. Leo's down here. It rules the fifth house of creativity, to sign of kings and queens. It is what you create. Your children can be gambling, artistic it's what you create, like children or art or whatever it is, and it's ruled by the sun. It's a very optimistic energy, but there is, my father. I think you all have some idea how much I love my father, and I think it's funny that he really is a Sagittarius sun. He's got all the optimism of a Sagittarius sun and wanting to be social, but he's got a Leo moon. He's the middle of 7 children, and he is the patriarch of the family. And it's like, well, of course he is, because he's the Leo moon. He has an emotional need to lead, to kind of be in charge. There was a great video made recently. A guy was saying, he was playing the different signs. It was like a TikTok kind of thing. And he was playing the different signs. It's like, okay, the Leo shows up. It's like, okay, we need to go save this person from a bad guy. And Aries is like, I should be in charge. And Leo says, well, you're not. Okay, let's do the thing. They need that. So a sun Leo is their very sense of self is going to have this kind of grand energy, which is good. You can be, if you are a king, or a queen, you can be a benevolent ruler. You can be just the greatest of the great, or you can be a tyrant. But there's something about your energy where it's just a little extra. It's just a little up from the average in some respects. So the other thing you're going to see, we had talked about Libra. If there is some Libra that can make you very malleable, you'll often see some Sagittarius. And no, my father is not. He's not a con artist by any stretch. And Sagittarians are not inherently con artists, but it is ruled by Jupiter, and you get this grand, expansive Jupiter. It's lucky, but it can also be a blowhard. Can promise more than it delivers, but it's big and optimistic and just jovial. Where we get the word jovial, the base of that is Jove, which is one of the names of Jupiter. The other thing that you will sometimes see is if Pluto's involved, which rules Scorpio, because it's a water sign, but it's very intense. You get very intense emotions, so that when you see something, maybe say you see something you want it really badly. Maybe you're willing to manipulate people to get what you want. Because when Scorpio goes bad, and I am a Scorpio, and I years ago decided I am not using my stinger anymore. That's just, I don't want to. But when Scorpio goes bad, they're vicious. Or Aries, which Mars, which rules Aries, used to rule Scorpio until we discovered Pluto, or they're co-rulers. Aries, first sign of the zodiac, the soldier, the taking action, the I am here, I am, right? So so if you kind of put that all together, you're seeing energy that's it's intent, it's expansive, it's kind of elevated a little, and it wants, it acts. And that can override if the Sagittarius energy is badly placed. Sagittarius can sometimes be a bit of a hedonist. The hedonists I've known personally in my life, they were, strangely enough, again, not my father, but they were Sagittarians. And it's so expansive and accepting, and I want the thing, and I want to do the thing, and I want to experience the thing. And it's like, well, what about the other people in your life? If you don't have good aspects, then what, you're going to screw them over because you want the thing? You want to go over there? So There's an idealism to Sagittarius, but sometimes if it goes wrong, their ideals aren't practical. You get the blowhard energy. So those are some things to look out for. And I bring that up. Rennie says, agree on both Scorpio and Aries. If they want something, they can be vicious. Cat Shepherd says, Leos are the only sign I feel trustworthy. You always know where you stand with them. Usually, every sign can go bad. Every sign has a good side. Every sign has a bad side. Paula, I don't know what an SK is. I'm sorry. Atha says, my father was a Leo who had been taught by his father he would never be a king. My dad became the best kingmaker in the country. That makes sense. So, oh, Ricky, you're wonderful. And from everything you've said, your wife is wonderful too. So, and please don't anybody think I'm attacking them or saying that one sign's better than another. It's just, I mean, if you go through, like, there's even a study of when people of certain signs become murderers, they're more likely to use the type of weapon that has something to do with their sign. Aries is no guarantee, but Aries is more likely to use a gun. Pisces would be more likely to use, everything being equal, would be more likely to use like a poison. Okay. So let's go back to George Santos here. Is this the right one? Birth chart. Okay. He's got a sun in Leo. His sun in Leo. So that's if he can lead, he can, a kind of optimistic, the sun itself, which rules Leo. This is the sun in its own sign. So it's happy there. It will grant warmth and light and all kind of goodness. And if it doesn't, it will just burn something to a crisp. I mean, it just is the way it is. There can be too much of a good thing. Over his moon is over here in Scorpio. So his emotional needs are going to be very intense. Even if because since we don't know his birth time and the moon moves quite quickly, it's still going to be within a range. And on another chart of his I looked at, it was showing the range for the day. And it's still, he's a, he pretty much, if this is him, he's a moon in Scorpio. There's just no way around it. Because the moon moves 13.5 degrees a day. So half of that, you're already in Scorpio, pretty much. Basically. All right. So all that emotional intensity, all that emotional need, and within even if the moon is farther back, it's still within aspect to this Pluto, and Pluto rules Scorpio. So this generation, this grouping here, the Pluto and Scorpio generation, they have that certain energy. But when you have a personal planet, especially one of the luminaries, your moon, conjunct in the same place as this, it is just going to amplify all of that emotional intensity. That is one intense dude. That's very, very intense. All right, so we've got a grandiosity up here, which can be good or bad. We have incredible emotional intensity, which can be good or bad. Let's see, communication. Where are we? We are here. It's really not as, in an aspect to a lot. It's helping. His communication is in a good aspect to the nodes, so his communication will help with what he's supposed to be here to do, which you can be good or you can take advantage of that. But I do notice that his right opposite, it's called a point of fortune. It's a mathematical point. Has to, well, I guess point of fortune would move with the ascendant, so maybe it's not opposite that, but it could give him some luck. So when he communicates, this is the big mom of the zodiac, Cancer, which means you're going to be able to communicate with empathy. It's one of the water signs, big mom of the zodiac, caring for others. He can communicate in a way that seems very loving, very caring. And then he's got all this water Scorpio energy over here, which is very emotional as well. With a lovely Leo moon, you'd think, well, this right at first blush, you'd think this is lovely. This is nice. However, not necessarily, because it's in his sun is in a very strong aspect, this 60-degree angle. Every sign is 30 degrees. So between Jupiter, big expansive Jupiter, and his sun, there's 60 degrees. That's an energetic, positive energy. So this Jupiter is blowing up his sense of self. And then you've got Mars. How you take action is in its own sign of Aries. So it is very martial. It is it can be very, very pushy. So I looked at this chart and I saw, I see the kingly Leo with the potentially emotionally manipulative Scorpio moon, and with conjunct Pluto. I've got Jupiter blowing up his sense of self, just bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's in pretty good aspect to Mars in Aries, which can be pushy as heck if it chooses to be. So those are some of the things, and I just thought, yes, that would do it. That would do it. I expected there to be more to do with well, I guess it is there. You've got Neptune here, which is fantasy, which is the immaterial, the fiction. And that's in a good aspect, a power, at 8 degrees and 9 degrees here. This is again at that 60 degrees, energizing between a sense of power and emotions and all of this, and fantasy. Using fantasy will empower him. And it's in retrograde, which means some of that energy might be going the wrong way. Backtracking can be good, but when you put these things together and you put someone in a situation where they are somehow rewarded, probably from an early age, with making things up, this can go oh so bad. Sufi says, is Mars in Aries trining the sun, sextiling Jupiter? 3 planets in their own signs. Yep. Kimberly says, astrology is like a pyramid. You start with your birth sign and then it expands with the other placements of planets and luminaries. Yep. I ain't a pure Taurus, but when I am, I am. I understand. Kat says, I'm trying to remember some of the better Santos whoppers from Mike's Touch thread. Oh, that his mother is passed on in All right. So in a chart, when you're talking about parents, generally speaking, well, traditionally, I should say, if we're talking about cisgender, heteronormative, traditional stuff, then the sun is going to have to do with your father, and the moon's going to have to do with your mother. This kind of intensity, where his moon is with Pluto there in Scorpio, very intense, which could mean that she was very intense. And father up there, the sun in Leo, that would, maybe he has that kind of energy, and was pushing his or I may have found that's the kind of energy that was around his father. But they are 3, 6, 9. Think about this, though. Let me go back over here. Let me show you something. See where the moon here is at 0? And remember, the luminaries, moon and the sun, they have a pretty big sphere of influence. All right? Go forward 30 degrees, 30, 60, 90. 90 degrees, and then you've got somewhere around it here, you've got the moon. That's a 90-degree angle, around about a 90-degree angle. That's the square. That's the grinding. That's the grit that makes the pearl. That is uncomfortable. So chances are, home life, there was some tenseness at home. So you start putting all these together, and when he decided to break bad, you can see how, and he didn't become, he didn't, why he chose to become a con man as opposed to doing some other things. You see some of this in Donald Trump's chart too. Polly Wand is asking, will Santos claim that his mother is the first Jewish saint? Could be. Could be. Sufi says the Mercury aspects are rather wide. Says Mercury is practically unaspected, in a way, a lone wolf. Yeah, I would agree with that. And right now, that was the other thing I was going to go over, and then we'll go on to real readings and do the tarot, the card readings, and because goodness gracious, this person is atrocious. This one. Is this the... Okay, that's what we're just looking at. I need the transits. George Santos transits. All right. So now that we know his chart, now that you can see, Lois said, I heard Santos moved a lot, so had to reinvent himself constantly, and his mother was neglectful. Or maybe when she paid, with all that Scorpio intensity, maybe when she did pay attention, she would crack down on him. And so he learned to become a little more malleable and also maybe lie. I've seen that with children who had really intense Scorpio energy parents. I've seen a willingness for the kids to lie because they just need that to go away. They need to just survive in that energy. It can be bad. So let me share this. Share screen. Chrome tab. All right. So what's going on with George Santos that... Oh, absolutely, Anne. His coping skills are messed up. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So why is this coming out now? What is the problem? Well, you know how the country's having a a Pluto return, even though Pluto's at like 25, almost 27. Right now it's at 27 degrees over here, opposite his sun. You've got Pluto opposite his sun right now. And remember, oppositions are like a seesaw. So it'll take his sense of self and it will raise it up and then it'll sink down and sink lower than normal and then up and then down and then up and then down. So he's on this kind of seesaw energy. But Pluto is just plowing through his sense of self. And it's also doing this up and down thing. So it's really shaking him up. I mean, when Pluto is conjunct your sun, it can not only give you great opportunities, but it can also just burn everything to the ground, just raise everything to the ground so there's nothing left. So it just ashes, and then new growth can start. Well, when it's opposite, it's going to take your sense of self and it is going to, shake it like it's in a shaker. So Pluto has moved along and that's been affecting him. Just recently, this seems to have hit very recently, this Venus, what and how you love, out that energy, that came along and came into the same place as Pluto in the sky over the last, week or so. And so it really triggered that whole Pluto thing, and whether he's loved or not. But this Pluto is also, if you look at it, as it's moving forward, because this is going to get worse, because it's coming in, it's still not even in aspect. It's within a couple of degrees, but this pressure against him is building. This is going to get worse over the coming weeks and months until this becomes exact. And it is setting off this whole sense of grandness, how Jupiter expansion, it's just funneling energy with this trine, and then this sextile to Mars, it's funneling energy into all three of these placements. And those are the king, the sense of being the king or king-like, the expansiveness and sometimes luck, but the expansiveness of Jupiter, and then the take action of Mars, the soldier. And soldiers take action, but I mean, a soldier isn't there to bake cookies and make friends. So, yeah. And then as Pluto moves on, it's going to be 3, 6, 9. It's going to fully square his moon. So that Pluto is also going to take his emotional life and just grind it down. So this Pluto is kicking him in the back end. And as the sun comes along over the next, because the sun moves 1 degree a day. Right now it's at 12 degrees. It would need to get up to 27. So in about 2 weeks' time, the sun is going to empower this point even more. And that's really going to set the whole thing. It's going to just sunlight across all of those aspects and make everything bigger and brighter. And he's going to have a tough month. And Pluto's it's just going to get worse and worse over the next weeks and months for him. This was really, Pluto gave him power. Pluto rules power, plutonium. But in doing that, if you've got things set up well, it can raise you up. And it did. It raised him up. But that just exposed all of it. So there we go. And that's what's going on with George Santos. It's not going to get better. Not anytime soon. All right. That was much talking. That was much talking on my part. Let me do some readings. All right. CC Ryder says Pluto's having a let's make a deal moment. Conman, come on down. Exactly. So. Try something. Just seeing what I missed. Probably wanted a life with no shame. Taryn, is Libra an air or water sign? Dun, dun, dun. Libra, right here. Libra, ruled by Venus, is an air sign. That's supposed to be a symbol of wind. So that's that. Okay. Uh, 19 Stallion says, we definitely need rules and ethics for people running for public office. Yes. Absolutely. Roxanne says, so he's being exposed. When it's going to get worse. William's saying, I still can't get over the fact the Democrat who ran against him didn't dig into his past. Sweet and salty, we were talking about George Santos. All right. Darren says, I wonder what his rising sign is. It could be anything, but could be Libra would make sense, but it could be anything. Polly Wanda says, if Santos grew hair for every lie, he'd look like Cousin It. Holly and France says, some of his lies were uncovered, but they got very little press. Until Venus came along and set off that Pluto energy even more. And the sun is going to hit that. It's going to hit that in a couple of weeks, that point. And it's going to be even worse. Exposure. So, Lady Eva, do we even know his birthday? I mean, an actual birthday, not what he said, as he is a terrible liar. I understand what you're saying. I don't know where they got the information. It wasn't out of his mouth, to the best of my knowledge, but that's the best information I have for his birthday. So I thought you would want to know that, even though I know I lose some of you when it comes to astrology. So, oh, Emma Sue, thank you. I love it when you bring in astrology. Excellent analysis on George Santos. You're blessed with integrity of word and spirit. Thank you. Thank you, Emma. Emma Sue, thank you. Oh, that's huge to me. You're blessed with integrity of word and spirit. That means a lot to me. I have Saturn on my ascendant, and so I hope people realize I have integrity. So, all right. Okay. So at 49 minutes in, oh gosh, I really did talk for a long time. At 49 minutes in, George Santos served notice. Oh, this was a headline. George Santos served notice on the hell he is about to face after he is sworn into the House. Kevin McCarthy has remained silent about the series of scandals surrounding the incoming New York Republican. Thank you, Sunflower. So what do the cards say about what's going to happen to George Santos? And because of that, the House, which is really what this comes down to. Kimberly is suggesting we need a sorting hat, perhaps? Oh, if only. Oh, if only. Government. Who controls the House? Thank you, Kelly. Strength. Queen of Cups. Four of Wands. Two of Pentacles. Five of Wands. Neptune, the planet that dissolves. Think of when you put something in the ocean, it dissolves. But also it rules spiritual, the immaterial, fantasy, fiction, spirituality, that kind of energy. It's in its own home sign of Pisces, and it has been for quite a few years now. And it allowed the rise of people lying and it not getting the fight against lies, not kind of losing traction to where you can't nail it down and say, no, that person's lying, that's wrong, ignore that person. The lies just, it's almost like lies were empowered during this era. Fiction is empowered, and too much of a good thing sometimes. So I think that's why I've got the card of Mar-a-Lago right in the middle. People got used to it. So they didn't necessarily look as closely, or when things did come out about him, it didn't really stick. He used the manipulation about his mother out the wazoo, saying she died on 9/11, she died in she was in the South Tower or something. It's not true. His mother was a pip, is what this is kind of. She was, I think this might be that Scorpio overbearing energy. This can be robbing Peter to pay Paul. This can be trying to keep all your lies, all the plates spinning of your lies, and it's just failing. But he's going into a situation in the House where the quote unquote Freedom Caucus is already up in arms, and they're against McCarthy, and McCarthy needs his vote. So his lies are terrible and many and varied. But he's going into a situation that is chaotic. And if the Republicans had their act together, they could just say, you're done, we're going to replace you. So, Frida Smith says, that's why I'm out of balance. I'm a Libra with a Pisces moon. I can make a lovely human being. And Anne Harding is saying, McCarthy's coming up empty, like his heart. Oh, thank you, Aiden. Aiden reads tarot in the chat. Oh, thank you. Queen of Swords. Oh, you've got legal problems coming. You've got big investigative legal problems coming. That does not feel like a weak Queen of Swords. King of Cups, Hermit. And you've got the while the Republicans are in chaos, the Democrats very much want control of the House back. They're not going to let this slide. They're not going to let this go. You're done. And it's going to get worse. But will affect the balance of power in the House, because the Republicans, they only have a 9-seat majority, but they have a 9-seat majority. Thank you, Marty. Thank you. His father, what influence did he have on him? Um, you know, if you have siblings, then chances are that you have a very different chart than they do. I mean, unless you're twins. Um, so you probably experienced your parents in different ways than your siblings did. Thing about with that Leo sun that he has, the chances are that he feels it's kind of an optimistic, how do I put this? I don't know, but he probably found his father to be, oh, everything's fine, or I'm going to go over here, or I'm going to go gambling, or I'm going to go create stuff, or I'm going to go have other kids, or this is how you do. And super intense mom who everything gets dumped on, all the responsibility gets dumped on. I mean, I'm assuming he's broken bad, and that the kind of family he's from, that would be my guess based on his sun and moon sign, and all the pressure on his mother with all that intensity, and then she didn't handle it well, and she was probably very crushing to him, so his sense of identity became very fluid, is my guess. So you would think Leo would be all about taking responsibility, but when they break bad, kings can be very, very different kind of rulers. And sometimes you just have those who just, they can do whatever they want, and life's a party, and that's what it feels like. But again, we don't know. His parents aren't coming forward. I haven't heard a peep about his family coming forward. 6 of Wands. Also, haven't heard anything about any siblings, which these days would mean nothing. Even by the late 80s, of course, there were single child households, but it was less common than it is today. If you go back and look at the numbers, I think you'll find that it was less common, which may speak to his parents' marriage not being a long-term thing. I don't know. Could be. World. How is this going to affect the house? It's for the whole enchilada, the big enchilada. Republicans are trying to work something out. This is like the Marjorie Taylor Greens who want to come in and kick kick Democrats. But look at this. It's law enforcement. It's the prosecutor hovering around right there. And some legal bullying and because this is what the Republicans can do to the Democrats, but they don't actually have anything. Hunter Biden doesn't hold office. Much ado about not much. And with this hanging over them, so it's not helping. But they still are starting out with a 9-seat majority. Republicans are still starting out with a 9-seat majority. So, yeah, they've maybe we're going to get it down to 8. Who knows? It's not going to have a huge impact right now. It has a bigger impact on McCarthy himself trying to get the votes to become speaker. than it does over the House itself for now. All right, so at 7:30, how will this affect the House? All right, and so now at 1 hour 16, so 1 hour 30, Adam Kinzinger said if Trump's role in January 6th isn't considered a crime, I don't know what is. I think we could all agree with that. Straightforward, will what Trump did on January 6th, will it be considered a crime? Poor little Trumpy. Nobody came to his party. Maybe if you weren't a heinous human being, just a thought. Is what Trump did on January 6th, will it be considered a crime? Page of Pentacles. Wasn't just him. Got a death card. These poor people. 5 of Wands. 8 of Pentacles. Page of Swords. Queen of Swords. This looks like it. There are messages that show that Trump was going to tell people to go to the Capitol building or storm the Capitol building on January 6th. I think that came out this morning. It came out recently in the news. This is the insurrection. This is what happened because of the insurrection. There are people who died. And he was being the bully. This is how Trump likes to see himself, with the really impressive hair, too. That's how Trump thinks he looks. Here, follow me. We're going to go to the Capitol. And this is investigation, but it feels more than that. There are multiple investigations of Trump, but this is a big legal ruling. I think it's literally, there's going to have to be a judge rule somewhere whether or not what he did could be considered a crime. It feels like they will say yes. Serena says considered a crime is different than prosecuted as a crime. Oh, that's kind of what I'm trying to look at. Do I have 2 Black and Orange Instagram accounts? No. There's my personal account, there's the Black and Orange account, and there's the Book Art Media account on Instagram. 5 of Pentacles. Oh, he's going to have financial problems. Oh, I've got 4 cards. Okay. What's missing? Something's missing. Empress. 3 of Swords, Moon, and 8. All the evidence. The DOJ just got all that evidence from the January 6th committee. People suffered. The country suffered. He should be ashamed of himself. Right now, it's an empty space because we can't see a lot of what's happening. But they're going to bring all this out, what happened out in a big way. There's just a gap. We're in a gap right now. Well, that's what it looks like for now. I don't know anything about that, Aiden. I'm sorry. It does not look like... I don't know. I'll have to go see. All right. Merrick Garland, 105.30. 105.30. Thank you, everybody, for being here. All right, Merrick Garland may have backed himself into a corner by hiring Jack Smith as a CNN analyst. CNN, but still, let's look. I think there's a much more likely chance there will be an indictment relative to the Mar-a-Lago documents. That's a more straightforward case. I think AG Merrick Garland may have backed himself into a corner in appointing a special counsel and then determining, was the law broken and can you prove it? Then determining, was the law broken and can you prove it? It's much more hazy, a much more difficult case relative to January 6th. In fact, there's an indictment. If, in fact, there is an indictment only for the documents, I think some people may be left saying, wait a minute, is that all there is after all the time and expense and all the investigation? It's only those documents at Mar-a-Lago that Trump is held accountable for. Thank you, Renat. I'll have to go look. So, Merrick Garland, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to say, oh, well, they went after Al Capone for his taxes, and that was enough. So we'll go after Trump for the top secret stuff, and that'll be enough. Really? Because if they do not do something about this now and make it crystal clear that this is illegal, it's going to happen again. It's just a matter of time. Chanel says, who cares? Just get him for anything. There is some of that. All right. Bully, I do what I want. Queen of Wands. A 10 of Cups, 5 of Wands, 4 of Cups, Queen of Swords. Well, okay, there is legal action. This might actually be what happened, and then that Garland hired Jack Smith. So this doesn't give me the end. He didn't want the key thing here is Merrick Garland did not want there to be a, what's the word I'm looking for? What something looks like. Not evidence of impropriety, an appearance of impropriety or politicalization. So he gave things to Jack Smith. Maybe I need to ask. No, I kind of asked that. So Merrick Garland, are you just going to go for the easier charge and let the whole January 6th thing just skate? Just slide? Nuclear Magenta, what's the difference between the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords in terms of legal action in your readings? The way it comes up for me, and this is not normal, but the way it comes up for me generally is that the king is a powerful prosecutor. The queen is like a group of prosecutors, but it's not always. It's just how it comes up for me. It doesn't say that in any of the books you'll read anywhere. That's just how it comes up for me. 8 of Swords. Ooh, definitely legally hemmed in. Oh, by the way, someone was talking this morning about the idea of Trump being what it might look like if Trump is arrested. Brought up something I hadn't thought about in a really long time. Mugshot. Oh. Okay. Anne says, it used to be against the law to be a traitor. What happened? Not with you. Moon. Magician. 3 of Wands. Star. Ace of Cups. Oh, okay. He's going to step up. This is him stepping up. The chaos on the right. He wanted to make sure that every T is crossed, every die is dotted, every I is dotted. You know what I mean? Head stand up, but he's been worried about more unrest, but ultimately this is a clearing of the air, fresh air, hope, clean water, getting the poison out, more fresh water, clean water, filling in where there was muck. This is, and also democratic energy. This is good. This was the worry before, but this is the future, and this feels good. This feels like Garland will step up for the sake of the country, because his meticulousness isn't just about his own ego. He really is trying to do a good job, the best job that can be done. And that does not mean letting people off or not bringing charges at all, unless it's a slam dunk. So, oh, Kristen says, news: when the new Congress convenes tomorrow, Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives are set to vote on a rules package that guts the Office of Congressional Ethics. Shocked. All right, let me fix this. Something's gotten darker in here. Whoa, hello. All right, make that a little brighter. Okay, and at 1:12:30, Nanette had a question. 12:30 about Pelosi's health. 12:30. Should we be concerned for Nancy Pelosi's health? I can't stop worrying about her. Okay. Man. Ollie Wanda says, I've been fooled too many times. Avenatti, Mueller, Garland. I hear you. I hear you. The Emperor. Good news is Trump is losing power. So there are still some crazies out there, but it isn't a growing movement of insane people physically attacking, breaking into the houses of politicians and hurting them. Like, it isn't like becoming more prevalent. Thank heavens. Strength. She is a strong woman. Lovers. What happened to her husband? High Priestess. She did a lot of good. She did a lot of good for women. Just her being there was an inspiration. And for being there for so long. She did what she came here to do. She came here to do a lot, and now she needs to take care of her husband. Yeah. Lynette says, I think Pelosi's doing okay. The break-in scared her, though. She and her daughter have said as much. Oh, yeah. That would be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. This is higher wisdom. This is America. This is just women. Strong women. Inspiring. She's okay. She's okay. But she almost lost her husband. And it's good that she's going to be spending more time at home. So, oh boy. So, well, I do have a couple more questions, but that was a lot. And that's going to do it for me for today. Follow your heart. Thank you so much. Thank you. Makes a big difference. Thank you. So, yeah, to Kathy Delisle, Major Arcana show props for Nancy. Exactly. All right. But thank you so much for being here. It is 1:27 p.m. here in Chicago. At 3:30, so in 2 hours, I'll be over on the Creative Sprints channel to do Creative Sprints. You're always welcome. Other than that, I will be right back here tomorrow. I'm here 365 days of the year. And just put your questions in the chat before I come on. All right? It'll be okay. We'll work it out. And even if anybody's having trouble with the questions, usually somebody can end up seeing it and we can work it out. And somebody, if you're having trouble, you can just say you're having trouble. Sometimes if other people can see things, they'll post it for you and say, hey, this person was asking. It'll be okay. We'll work it out. I'm here every day. And we're in this together. And that's really the key. You're not alone. We are in this together. And there are good days ahead. All right. So hang in there. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy New Year, everybody. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Thank you. Okay. Bye.